Indeed, thank you very much for taking the time to stay with us on this second part of the show. My name is Peter Akaba, and this, of course, being Farm Kenya. And today, we're talking about dog breeding as a business. I'll say that again, dog breeding as a business. Now, people tend to confuse that with dog ownership. We're not talking about you owning a dog, keeping it at home. We're talking about breeding dogs as a business for money, as an agricultural pursuit. And in studio to lend, insights into that, Dr. Cyrus Kimani. He is a veterinarian and an expert on this very topic. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, of course, during the conversation that we've had earlier, we've talked about the fact that this business can be highly segmented.
Yes.
Essentially, people getting into this space have to know what sort of clientele they're looking at.
Yes.
What sort of dogs they are looking for,
and
why that sector. Talk to us about how to start off in this space. Why should people even consider dog breeding as a business?
Okay, first of all, we need to understand what breeding is.
Yes.
So now breeding is the mating, individual mating of two dogs in order for you to either improve or to preserve traits. Now, traits in this conversation now means that you need to look at the characteristics of the dogs. The second thing is, why do you even need the dog in the first place? So it's not just about owning dogs. There is also that you need to go a step ahead and actually get that information, which is out there, about the different types of breeds, what you're actually looking for, whether it is sustainable for you to have a specific dog at home, or rather where you want to keep it, or if you want to start a business. Now we get into the nitty-gritties of the dog breeding business. So first of all, for example, someone wants to become a dog breeder.
Yes.
So where does that person start? Of course, now you have to have the information. So you have to fish for the information.
Yes.
It is out there in the internet. So you will now find out and select the type of dog that you want. We have different types of breeding.
Yes.
We have pure breed, and then we have purpose breed. So pure breed is where you're not actually getting out of the line of that specific dog that you want to breed. So you actually want to breed specific line of dogs.
Yes.
Then when we come to the purpose, we have different types of dogs for different purposes. We have dogs for show, dogs for companionship, we have protection dogs, etc., etc. So now, as a dog breeder, I've now known the dog that I want to keep. Let's say, for example, a GST, that's a German Shepherd dog. So what does this German Shepherd dog, what is it all about?
Yes.
So I need to know whether it is a purebred dog. I also need to understand its lineage and its parents, or where it actually came from. So with me understanding where the dog comes from, I will be able to know whether it also has, let's say, for example, some genetic disorders that I really don't want to deal with. So with all that information with you, you'll be able to actually do something sustainable and which won't be a problem to you. Now, if I find out that this dog doesn't actually have any defects or any problems, that means that it is going to be easier for me to breed this type of dog.
So I want to flip the question so that people can also understand where we are getting this to. Because as a business, you're then catering to a market that has a specific need.
Yes.
So what are the specific needs for Kenyans when it comes to dogs? What are people using dogs for?
We have, let me give examples. We have apartment dwellers who love companionship dogs. So they're using the dogs for companionship.
Yes.
So now these are the people who are going to breed the Chihuahuas.
Yes, the
splits, the small-bodied dogs that don't require too much work. Yeah. So we have the old retirees who actually in their old age need companionship.
Yes.
Because most probably their kids are not there, their grandkids are far away somewhere. So most of the time they spend their time alone. And when, if they feel a need of companionship, they go for the dogs.
Yes.
Dog is man's best friend. So it makes a very, very
now
good
man's best investment.
Oh, yes, money.
Yes.
Now, something else the dogs are used for show.
Yes.
For show. You've heard about the Kennel Club.
Yes.
They usually hold specific shows. They usually have displays. and so on and so on. So we have also dogs for protection.
Yes.
Yes, actually the most common use for dogs in this modern time is protection. Because as you can see, most of the time we are having a lot of insurgencies, we're having a lot of insecurity.
Yes.
So now people are actually looking now towards the side of having dogs as protection.
I've seen a situation where security companies are even leasing dogs from people who keep them themselves. So they approach kennel owners and they say, I'll give you X amount. I take it to some factory to walk around with one of my guards at night. I get paid X. So your revenue share is this. And that becomes a sustainable business model.
Yes, becomes a sustainable business model because now you're actually renting out the dog to go and work somewhere else. And the people who are renting out the dog have realized that the dog has a certain characteristic that can be compatible to what they want it to do. So for the breeders, if actually you will manage to add that kind of value to the dog, then I don't see you, I think the money will be inevitable in terms of business.
It's also because sometimes you realize that for security companies, they realize they're not in the business of rearing dogs and looking after them. And they want to leave that to the experts.
Oh, yes.
So then they say, mimi nikikupatia X amount of money, minataka X number of dogs ready to do this with this sort of training. Alafu now you teach my people how to handle them.
How to handle the dog, yes. So in such situations, you find that I'm passing a dog which has actually been added value to training, conditioning, and all that, feeding and everything. So when these dog breeders now pass on the dog to the other side, which is receiving the dog, they also have to do some orientation to the receivers on how they're going to handle the dogs so that the dog cannot forget its conditioning. Remember, it has been trained and consistently. So if it is given to another party, itasahau. Because the people receiving the dog,
relationship,
oh yes, and then there are those key, there are those very important key aspects that you have added to the dog, especially obedience. If you break that chain of training, break that chain of command, you're actually now bringing the dog back to zero.
Confusion.
Yeah, it now becomes just a normal dog.
Yes, let's talk about the feeding aspect, because when people talk about dairy, when you talk about keeping pigs, keeping chicken, now feeds is an issue because you have to keep buying commercial feeds, you have to do your own formulations to save money, that sort of thing. So when it comes to dealing with dogs, I'm sure that feeding is an issue as well.
Oh yes.
Most people are used to the feeding where you say, nitaenda niombe mfupa kwa hoteli, or that sort of thing. So professionally, what sorts of food do these dogs consume?
Okay, professionally, what I would say is that notion of niende nichukue kamfupa mahali kwa hoteli
or mabaki,
you need now to understand one thing. The food that is being prepared for the human beings has a lot of additives, acidulants, spices that may not be compatible to the dogs. So now professionally, how you need to feed these dogs is to give the dogs, provide the dogs with supplements that are protein-based, 70% protein-based. And if not supplements, then we have the normal food like the chicken. You can get chicken from the slaughterhouses. Not prepared chicken, haijawekwa roiko and all those things.
Just raw chicken.
Just raw chicken. You come and prepare it at home, don't add anything, boil it and make it palatable for the dog to feed. We also have dog treats that are now being shopped in the pet stores, the supermarkets. We have dog biscuits. So if you have been keen enough to listen to what I've been saying, I've been mentioning dog this, dog that, dog this, dog that. Not ugali and skuma and some milk. I see people just give them.
So it is no longer the kienyeji way.
No,
you
don't
think about
kienyeji.
Specific.
Yes, it has to be specific. Why am I saying this? Because the food ration has to be at par with
the type of dog that you have.
With the type of dog that you have. Because it also has an optimum size that it needs to get to. It also has it has the body mass that it needs to achieve. with this food ya kienyeji ati kaugali and skuma, I don't think you're going to achieve that optimum size of the dog. Or it will take longer to get to that size rather than a person who is actually going through the normal or the right channel of feeding the dog.
So it might be stunted.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the health aspect, because one major issue has been like when you listen to that story.
Yeah.
They talked about immunization and inoculation.
Oh, yes.
That these dogs need to go through a regimen of some sort of treatment.
Oh, yes.
To ensure they survive and actually even thrive. Talk to us about that.
So let me start by, I know there's one common problem that dog breeders have. After paturation is actually giving birth.
Yes.
So after giving birth, the female dog has that tendency of chewing on the puppies.
Oh, it's if it has a deficiency.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
So what really happens is there are reasons why the female dog behaves like this. One of the reasons is maybe the female dog has become anxious.
Yes.
Because these dogs also have, I normally say that dogs have a consciousness.
Yes.
The only thing that they don't have is a free will. So basically the female dog will become very anxious. And when it becomes anxious, why is it becoming anxious? It has seen new people, disturbing noises around the environment. So it will tend to eat or to feed on the puppies. And it normally selects the weakest puppies. So it is like an instinctive way of culling or getting rid of the puppies that are not viable.
Yes.
So that is one issue that I wanted to emphasize. Now, let's get back to the health. Now, one thing that dog breeders need to consider is not just the aesthetic value of the dog, but they need to consider also the health of the dog, right from the lineage of the mother.
The pedigree.
Yes. Where did this mother come from?
Yes.
Was the mother of this mother also having some DNA problems, having some physiological problems?
Yes.
For example, heart problems like cardiomyopathy, which is very common in these Japanese splits and the Maltese. And we also have other problems like postpartum problems. There are some dogs that are very linked to postpartum problems. Ikishaza, it gets those mashida, pain, or rather mastitis, because now it is milking, it's lactating. So health is very important over the aesthetic value, because most people in Kenya, especially in Kenya, just look at the aesthetic value. They don't understand that if I breed this type of dog, it may be having a problem, a long-term problem, a long-term health problem, like hip dysplasia. We have problems of breathing with the bulldogs. So now, with that information, the breeder will be able to know that, let me go this way. Let me breed this type of dog.
Yes, because we're almost out of time. Let's talk about pedigree and the fact that even as we talk about lineage and where dogs have come from, who their parents were and that sort of thing, is there one central registry where you can go to check that this person is actually keeping proper records and the facts that he has told me are true, na ilitokana na ile and that sort of thing? Is there one such place?
Oh, yes. According to the many breeders I have interacted with, most of them have talked about being registered to the Kennel Club. Now, this Kennel Club is important because it actually makes sure that these breeders follow to the book.
Yes, and they conform to sustainability.
Oh, yes. They even have rules that you should not breed this dog with this dog. You should not do this trait with this trait. You should not do this and that. So, I normally advise people or anyone who wants to buy a dog, you go to a breeder who is very well certified, or rather someone who belongs to the Kennel Club, because if they get that kind of person, they will be assured of having a dog that has gone through everything that is required, vaccinations, proper welfare, proper training and conditioning. So everything will be at par. There will be no loose ends.
Yes. Yeah. Let's talk about then the bringing all this together, having known all that, and having created the knowledge, having checked the lineage. How then do you move this forward? Do you need to get in touch with a person such as yourself or an expert or that sort of thing, who do you work with in this space to be able to ensure that you're doing this professionally? We've seen in dairy and others, you're told, look for an extension officer who can help you do these sorts of things. Who are the people in this space that people can lean on for knowledge and guidance?
Okay, so people can actually lean on veterinarians like myself.
Yes.
And also they can also lean on the side of the breeders. Seasoned breeders.
Yes.
Breeders who have actually who actually have evidence of what they have been doing. Not just buying dogs from anyone.
Yes.
So if you really want to have a dog that will pass value to you and a dog that will be satisfactory to you,
yes,
seek a professional veterinarian who will also give you the extension, and seek the dog breeder who is experienced, and will even give you more advice about the dog that you need, the dog that you want, or rather how you're going to even venture into that business.
Interesting.
Yes.
I have to ask because we know there are communities.
Yes.
Wanapenda mchuzi ya umbwa sana. We've seen it in videos.
China.
We've seen others. Yes. So is that business growing here? Are there people who are breeding dogs for the plate, for the table, for those who want to eat them?
Okay.
And which ones would be best for that purpose?
As far as I am concerned,
yes,
on a professional level,
yes,
I would really advise against putting dogs on your plate.
yes.
Why do I say this? A dog normally has a large number of worms. A large number of worms. These dogs consume on so much.
But if properly handled, unaipea dewormer, you looked after it nicely.
You see, dewormers are normally used to reduce the burden of worms, not to eliminate worms, to reduce the burden.
Yes.
So now, this means that this dog still has worms.
Yes.
And now, if we go to the religious aspect,
yes,
we are not supposed to be consuming
But
dogs.
not everyone is a Christian, and that's why I asked that question.
I know.
Because in some cultures, they actually will eat dogs, and they have preferred ways of preparing them. And then, anyway, moving on, because we're almost out of time.
Yeah.
If there was one thing that you wanted to talk to people in this space so that they would take that away from this sitting and say, if there's one thing you remember about keeping dogs, becoming a dog breeder, what would that be?
One thing I would tell people is that they need to treat dogs the way they treat their children. It is simply just that.
Yes.
You need to consider the health,
So
the welfare.
First, not eating them.
No, don't eat them. I advocate against that.
Yes, please, your list.
So, health.
Yes.
You need to have tender loving and care.
Yes.
Sio kutupa umbwa nje unairushia avocado.
Yes.
So you need to understand everything about this dog. These dogs have emotions and basically free will.
I actually would have wanted to ask, because of what you've said,
Yeah.
we've noticed a situation where a lot of people who will buy dogs for companionship, maybe they did wrong selection, dog was not properly trained, that sort of thing, so they abandon them.
Yes.
Or will simply kick them out, ama hame aiwache. And you find that these dogs are breeding all over the place willy-nilly, they become wakokos, those sorts of things. Talk to us very quickly about neutering and spaying so that we then stop these dogs just multiplying anyhow.
So now, as a pet owner, you need to understand now the dog and many aspects about its estrus cycle and how many liters, how many puppies it can give birth at a specific time.
Yes.
So you need to understand now that you personally to control the breeding in order for you to prevent the stray dogs going around and everywhere.
You might even have buy 2 dogs, a male and a female.
Oh, yes.
You think this is very nice.
Yeah.
3 months later, you have 14 dogs in the house.
Yes.
Because limefanya mambo. And you did not expect that. So how does a person take responsibility for these dogs to be able to ensure that it is controlled?
So now, after the first birth, you've learned that this dog has prolificacy.
Yes.
So what do I mean by this? It can give birth even to more than 13 to 14 puppies. So you knowing this, then you will now be able to control the next birth.
Yes.
If at all you need puppies, you will be able to understand I'm expecting 14 puppies.
Yes.
Or rather 13 puppies. So this is what I need to do.
Yes.
I need to build a premises.
Yes.
I need to look for food to feed these puppies. I need to have a plan. How am I going to dispose of these puppies?
Yes.
Yes.
And you might be in an apartment with that crisis. But thank you very much, Daktari, for your time. It has been a very interesting conversation.
Yes.
Of course, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us. And of course, from us here on Farm Kenya, having given you a different type of episode today, looking into the dog training, dog breeding business, getting you into a space that you'd not normally think about, giving you food for thought. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but the news continues here in Swahili in just a few minutes. We'll see you again tomorrow at the same time for more on Farm Kenya. But from us now, it is Kwaheri ya Kuonana. Do continue to enjoy the rest of your viewing.
Tufanye kazi pamoja na tukue pamoja, kuimarisha Kenya ni